when it comes to the blockchain, people are obviously often concerned about what is actually stored on the blockchain for good reason. Blockchains are publicly readable, so you want to be careful what information you put on there. So in the verifiable credential world, we don't actually put the full verifiable credential onto the chain. Actually, by default, we don't put anything onto the chain for it because the verifiable credential is actually verifiable without storing the data as long as you have those keys available to you. You don't need to put it on the blockchain. But if you want to make extra sure that your verifiable credential is safe and secure and legitimate, all that, we can do a thing which is called anchoring, where you can store, again, one of those cryptographic hashes, which is just taking all that data, spitting out a long series of text that is nothing human readable in it at all. And we can write that to the blockchain. And that's mainly as sort of like a timestamp to sort of say at this point in time, the cryptographic algorithm produced this hash. If you rerun the same algorithm again later with the same data, you should get the same string back that matches the one that's on the blockchain. But again, there's nothing identifiable in it. There's no private information, no personal information stored there. And that's sort of one of the big things in verifiable credential is privacy. So it's important to not be writing information. So your personal information, your date of birth, your address, none of that is written to the blockchain. It's really just cryptographic hashes that are written to the blockchain. So when you're designing a credential, so as a university or government agency, whatever, you're deciding what a degree looks like, so what fields are in it. So again, it's got a date, it's got a name, it's probably got a place, it's got the university name, it's got a degree name. All that is what we call a schema. So it's just what is the information contained in it. You can think of it like a template in your Word or whatever in your word processing on your computer. But it just sort of defines what fields are required, what data is required for the verifiable credential. So that's a schema. And that definition can be stored to the blockchain as well. So then what is needed for that credential can be known, can be shared, and can be verified as well. Right, so the next thing on verifiable credentials is a lot of times a verifiable credential is only possibly for a short term. So things of less certifications you can get, so again, government agencies, like your driver's license, here we have to renew them every 5 years. So the government would issue a driver's license credential, and that credential can have an expiry. So that can be built into your credential. So that's part of it. The other piece is you can have what's called a revocation registry. So this would be used for the case where, say you got into too many car accidents or you did something that caused the government to say, well, actually, we're taking away your right to drive. They can revoke your driver's license. So the same thing happens here. So on the blockchain, there's a revocation registry, which is a list of all the credentials that have been revoked. So if someone does decide that the credential they gave you is no longer valid or they want to take away that credential from you, they would write to the blockchain using, again, an identifier that identifies the credential. Again, no private information or anything like that, just a unique identifier for the credential. This credential is no longer valid. So that'd be like your driver's license number, but not really, because that is kind of identifiable. But that idea is that it's just a registry of IDs. Again, that contains no information, but that is checked. So when you're doing a verification, that registry is checked to say, hey, so this credential, it's by a valid issuer, passes all the cryptographic stuff, but has it been actually revoked? So it's an extra step in the verification that's done. Again, you go to the blockchain, you check it. Blockchain says that one's been revoked. They know right away that the credential is no longer valid.